Hello and good afternoon and welcome to our webinar. We are very thankful that you allocated your time to be with us today and learn to get together with us about something new. And first of all, let me introduce ourselves. My name is Sergey and I'm leading ServiceNow unit at Infopulse. Or could you please put next slide of the presentation, please? And as you see, together with me is my colleague Volodymyr, or he prefers more Vova as a shorter name. Vova is our expert in area of ITOM, ITSM, and ServiceNow. Together, today we will be talking about one aspect that we believe is important to any IT organization, whether it's IT service provider or internal IT department. We will learn about ITOM, which stands for IT Operation Management and its implementation for cloud environments, and how ServiceNow platform actually and the platform capabilities can help with that. And before we deep dive into the topics, I'd like to share some organizational points. Our webinar will last about 1 hour. We welcome you to ask questions if you have. Please use the chat box of this webinar tool. For this, we will be happy to answer your questions during the logical breaks or at the end of the session. And this webinar has been recorded, and we will share both the recording and the presentation after the session. And of course, if you have any additional questions after the event, please send them to us. We will share our contact details, and we will be happy to contact you directly and answer the questions. And a few words about Infopulse. Infopulse is leading IT vendor in Eastern Europe. Well, could you please next slide, please? And the next one. So yeah, Infopulse is one of the largest IT companies in Eastern Europe with more than 2,000 professionals, and the company has a long history. Just about months ago, we celebrated 30 years of the company, and we ranked as employee #1 in Ukraine. We have our clients around the world, and most of them are from Europe Union or North America. And many customers appreciate collaboration with us, and we have customers that many customers that have been working with Infopulse for more than 5 years. Next slide, please. And Infopulse headquartered in Ukraine, and also the company has delivery centers across Ukraine, Poland, Germany, Bulgaria, Brazil, and the US. We have a large portfolio of IT services. And today we are talking about ServiceNow. Next slide, please. We are trusted vendor by many international and leading brands. Some of them you can see on this slide. Next slide. And our ServiceNow team has more than 8 years experience delivering solutions on ServiceNow platform. And our experience in ServiceNow varies from ITSM, ITOM implementation according to best practices, including infrastructure, discovery, service mapping, which are among the topics of the webinar today, to different custom development and implementation, workflow automation, integration with business applications or cloud platform, and different custom application development and mobile application development on ServiceNow platform. And today we are on this webinar, we are talking about IT operations management. ITOM is a large part of ServiceNow platform, and from our experience, we can say it's not the easiest part. when it comes to its implementation and how to get the most of it. So now, Vova, handing over that to you. Could you walk through the agenda for today?
Thank you very much, Sergey. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to participate on this ITOM. Sorry for being interrupted by my cough. I just got a flu, but I cannot miss this opportunity to reveal our vision about what exactly should do a company to auxiliary their processes within cloud environments. And within our agenda, we covered 5 topics. First of all, we have to unleash the problems that any customer in the world have within the cloud environment. Then how we can solve part of these problems, and what a discovery is, how we can identify what we run in discovery, how often do we run this particular service or instance of compute product or EC2 or something like this in our cloud. Then how we can identify what exactly confirms our application, what we're selling to our customers, and how we can identify the components of these applications. And this is how ITOM service mapping does and works for solving this problem. Then any success factors that could lead you to the goal of your organization to successfully manage services in the cloud that runs within the cloud. Then a couple of examples of how services could be run in the cloud or on-prem or hybrid combination environment with ITOM, and how ITOM can identify this kind of services. ITOM, as Sergey already stated, is an application within the ServiceNow, but it's not just one application, it's a family of applications. It combines 3 sections: visibility, health, and optimization. Every of these sections solves some particular problems. For instance, visibility solves problem about what exactly you run within your environment: cloud, on-prem, hybrid, whatever. Health, how we can identify that server experiencing any problems, or how application fails within the environment, and is it healthy enough to provide services to the customer. And optimization is everything about the cloud. It means how we can govern the cloud, how we can identify billing information obtained from the cloud, how we can predict any spending cost with usage of cloud environment, and such things. Today we are going to allocate the time mostly about visibility, because first thing that we have to know about our cloud is what exactly runs within our cloud. For small-sized companies, it's obvious thing. We can use our Excel sheet or text file to track this configuration. But what about enterprise-level organizations that has millions of configuration items or thousands of servers within the cloud environment? It's very hard to track them within any kind of files. That's why the heart of ITOM is CMDB, Configuration Management Database, which tracks every configuration item, which is server or service or component of the server or service, something that you can identify as part of configuration of your service that you deliver to your customer. And ITOM for cloud environment does it very nice. It provides you tools to get visibility of your infrastructure, how to collect data from your environment, cloud or on-prem. It could be scanning of your on-prem networks or cloud networks. It could be obtaining any events from the cloud that tells that something has been provisioned already in the cloud. It is possible with ITOM to control cloud services, for instance, provision them. There is a handy tool within ServiceNow ITOM with automatic provisioning. Let's assume that developer needs their environment. With the one request, ITOM is able to create and deploy set of configuration items, which are servers, provision their softwares and such things within minutes. Depends on how fast the cloud is. Infrastructure as a code is a way how we can build our cloud. It means that nowadays huge environments or any kind of size environments built with a code. We define within the text files what kind of infrastructure we would like to see, how we can govern with this cloud environment, and then we are provisioning through Terraform or such tools this environment. But ServiceNow could also do these things with a Terraform, and it supports this very much. So written once, you can use your Terraform scripts in ServiceNow as well, which is nice to have. Expense controls gives an overview to application owners, to managers, to people who aware about budgeting, who identifies the strategy of the company for the next fiscal year, how much the company spends to support cloud environments. And with the billing APIs that available within ServiceNow ITOM, a company could obtain this kind of information and store it within the ServiceNow, build some reports about usage per application, per account or subscription, per device type, and so on. So before continuing with the challenges appears in the cloud environments, there is need to understand how we can identify parts of this environment. And the discovery functionality of this ServiceNow ITOM is the very good choice. The automation goes into your network, doesn't matter physical network or old-fashioned way in your physical data centers, or it's a virtual network located within the cloud. It collects information about your servers, application by IP. So it calls network discovery. When the network scans by discovery engine, which collects data from endpoints or target systems. It is possible also to collect data from particular configuration items, which is CI discovery. We track not only what is alive within the network, but also what this piece of network or what is the target system looks like, what is runs inside of it. Is it Linux server or Windows server or mainframe? What kind of additional services runs on that, and such things. Serverless discovery provides us also a tool to scan the network if we don't have credentials. First two things, network and CI discovery, available when you configure credentials that allows you access operating systems that you are scanning. Serverless discovery just scans a network and identifies what IP addresses are alive, how many of them, and what port runs on these servers. And by the port, it could identify what kind of service runs there. For instance, if 443 port opens, it means that some web server, a web server, runs within this server. We don't know yet what is Apache or IIS or piece of Tomcat runs there, but we know already that this server has some web service. Cloud discovery aims to collect data from the cloud. You provide credentials within the cloud, subscription for Azure, organization for Amazon, and such things. And by accessing cloud API with this subscription, discovery loads the data from your cloud environment. Event-based discovery is a data sent by cloud to your ServiceNow. If the previous 4 types of discovery generated by ServiceNow, the traffic of these types discovered generated by the ServiceNow, the last one is when ServiceNow expects traffic from the cloud. It means that if the sysadmin or operator or user of the cloud provisions in the cloud some product, such as DynamoDB, for instance, bypassing ServiceNow, then ServiceNow will also identify this kind of change within the cloud by receiving event generated by the cloud. And then this event would be transformed into the change within the ServiceNow CMDB. So everything obtained by the cloud stored within the CMDB, including tags, which is also good. And you know why from the next slide. So service mapping is a way how we can identify components of our services. Since that we deliver our services to a customer, we have to track, and we are tracking our spending, our predictions based on these servers. Frankly speaking, nobody cares how many EC2 do you have. Everybody cares about what this EC2 does, what value it brings to the company. That's why service mapping is a very good tool that identifies the components of your services, because service you sell to your customer, and you have to know what exactly runs within the service. How many load balancers run there? How many databases? What kind of databases? How big they are? How many application services do you have? How they interconnected between each other? And in the ServiceNow, there are 4 types of service mapping. Pattern-based discovery or pattern-based service mapping means that we identify steps which could say us what configuration item we're looking at right now, for instance, Linux servers, how we can identify that the server is a Linux, not a Windows, not a Unix, not something like network gear, but the Linux itself. So it has predefined amount of steps. For instance, log into the target system, read the configuration, uname, for instance, in case of Linux servers, identify main parameters of these Linux servers, such as version, kernel version, distributive of Linux, what is the RAM of the server, and such things. Then try to identify what kind of services runs there. And for this server, for each of the service runs on this server, we have a separate pattern. For instance, pattern for JBoss, pattern for Tomcat, pattern for MySQL, and so on. Traffic-based discovery enables us more granular view of what connections do we have between configuration items. If the pattern-based discovery is able to identify a connection from the server to some other server based on reading the configuration of the service runs on the server A, traffic-based discovery looks into any connection established from the server A to the network itself. If we have incoming connection from server C, which is a part of our application, but this connection doesn't mention within the configuration file inside of server A, traffic-based discovery will show us this incoming connection and will be able to identify this missing connection on the host. This works, for instance, for some of the reporting components of the application. When the application itself doesn't put any data into reporting database, but database engine or application of this reporting component goes into the application database and takes data from there for later processing. Next, tag-based discovery runs for cloud, because in the cloud we have tags, and these tags also collects within the cloud discovery and puts into CMDB. After that, we are able to create service map for tag-based discovery for our application using tag-based discovery, and reflect components of our service located in cloud within our map. The last thing is a comparatively new functionality of the service mapping, predictive intelligence. ServiceNow has inside of it artificial intelligence that works in many applications within the ServiceNow. ITSM, agent, virtual agent, and ITOM as well. So here, this functionality reads not only configuration and the connection established from server A to server C, but also looks in the time how often this connection works. If the connection established, but there is no traffic between servers A and server C, then we can count this connection as not used, orphaned, or not important. Sorry. And we can abandon these kind of connections between. So this is a modern way how we can predict our connections between servers. In our opinion, success factors of discovering service mapping and cloud environments, are mentioned in 4 sentences. First thing, we have to configure our firewalls between network sections where we do discovery and our ServiceNow agents. ServiceNow to discover company networks use Meet servers. So this is kind of agents that's installed within the network and collects the data within the network. Then Meet sends the data to the ServiceNow, and ServiceNow is able to populate CMDB. So there is no any connection from the ServiceNow that locates in the cloud to Meet server that is inside of the network. Everything established from the network to ServiceNow, which is good from security point of view. So we have to enable such communication from the Meet servers to ServiceNow, and from the network A, where we have Meet server, to the network B, where we excuse me, when we try to reach with our discovery. The next success factor is we know everything within our company. We know each of the network. We can reach to this network and we can collect data or CIs from the network. If we have application that has components located within the networks, for instance, DMZ for web services, network A for application layer, and network B for data lake, and we don't know that we have, for instance, network B, then we can collect only 2 pieces of this application, web service and application, without data lake. So it's not a good thing to know about your application. The goal is to know everything about what you're going to provide to your customers or already providing. Since we are logging into our operating systems and read configuration files, we need to have established credentials. So login password for operating system accounts or vaulted accounts by CyberArk, for instance, vaulting products that keeps your credentials in the one place. And also for cloud environments, especially when we run cloud native products such as Lambdas or some databases that provided by the cloud as a service without any operating system behind that. We have to have tagging policy established and maintained. It means that everything that runs for our application in the cloud should be tagged properly. Without tagging, we are unable to identify all of the components or identify environment of our application, because apart from production environment, we have testing, development, and other environments. Lacking a tag that identifies environment could bring us mistakes in identifying our application, because in the application for production environment, we could also inject some pieces from lower environments, which are not a part of our production. Next couple of slides demonstrates you solution examples for those service maps that were built for cloud environment, on-prem environment, and hybrid. So this kind of service map shows you your application. It shows entry point, how user interact with application. It could be URL, for instance, I know, infopulse.com. Then it shows component of this application. It could be load balancer, it could be resource group, like here. Every RGs depicted on this map shows resource group that serves for some capability. It could be calculating piece, it could be data lake, it could be something like different. I'm very sorry. This cloud-based application map was built by using three aspects that we already mentioned. Account-based discovery, we know our cloud account. We also configured event-based discovery, so everything generated in the cloud would bring some changes in CMDB to the ServiceNow. And tag-based service mapping. This is how we build our map from tags obtained within the cloud discovery. Next example is on-prem based application. We have the same entry point, which is URL. We have load balancer that spreads the traffic among several application layers. We have data lake, and we have storages behind the data lake, so where the files exactly locate. To reach this goal, we using horizontal discovery or pattern-based discovery. We use traffic-based discovery to bring more visibility on the connection between servers. For instance, storage A and storage B has been identified by traffic-based discovery. We identify connection from the server to different services where exactly iSCSI loons has been added. The third example is a combination of cloud-based environment and on-prem discovery or on-prem application. Component A and component B are cloud-based part of application that added here to minimize the amount of configuration item on the map to increase visibility for human and visibility for service mapping itself. So if in the real map you click on the component A, it opens you a cloud-based application map where you can see components. So this kind of services inserted into map excuse me.
Bless you. We know how it's difficult for you.
Oh, excuse me. It's not a luck to catch a flu in the day of webinar. So, but I will finish and I will deliver the knowledge that we obtain.
Thank you. We are with you.
Thank you. So these component A and component B are part of applications. Here could be a piece of service that locates in the cloud. It could be some processing layer where this the on-prem part locates within company's data center and could have a part of data lake. So in fact, the company stores data not in the cloud, in public cloud, but in their data centers. So here could be users' information, but the processing establish it within the cloud. So this how we can we can achieve this goal with the ServiceNow ITOM. Also, we would like to share with you some links. Those links contains official documentation on the capability built by ServiceNow. For instance, ITOM applications, a set of ITOM family. Then some reference onto discovery, how it runs, what it exactly is, to save time within this webinar and bring more interest in this functionality. And also some interesting links how it works combining with artificial intelligence. Now we are ready to answer your questions. Please don't hesitate to ask. Sergey, do we have any questions so far?
Yes, sorry, I was talking and I was muted. Sorry. Thank you very much for, we know how it was difficult for you to present the material. Thanks for that. There are definitely many useful capabilities provided by ServiceNow ITOM products, many points to consider before and during the implementation journey, and I believe that was useful for our audience as well. Actually, yes, we have a couple of questions from the audience, and the first question is about timeline for the implementation of tag-based service mapping. So the question is, how long does it take to build a tag-based map, and how much is it difficult compared to top-down approach?
Thank you for this question. Definitely, there is a difference between service mapping types. Considering the answer on this question, I have to step back and reveal some info how pattern-based discovery works or top-down discovery. So we have a set of steps that we have passed to reach the information about the server that we are investigating right now, for instance, Linux. And depends on the connection speed, depends on the amount of data received from the server, and depends on the amount of steps. This top-down discovery could take from 5 minutes to maybe 15 minutes. So it's a comparatively long process. For tag-based discovery, everything already in the CMDB, because along with cloud discovery, where we're collecting data about configuration items located within the cloud, we also collect their tags. And when we're ready to build service map with the tagging, we already have everything on the ServiceNow side. There is no to run additional way of discovery. So the map could build in 1-2 minutes, depends on how many items do you have on the map. So for 100 items, it would be 1 minute. For 1,000 items, it could be 5 minutes.
Thank you. We have another question. How can we ensure tags are accurate between AWS and ServiceNow? Are there any solutions?
Thank you. So by when you install application ITOM or family of applications, you have only capabilities to collect data. But if you look into ServiceNow store, you can download from there application. I don't remember how it goes, but it able to analyze the tags received from the cloud. You can specify there any rules, how many tags, for instance, should be established for one configuration item, and receive by these rules a report of data quality or tag quality. There is additional application cloud inside that also could provide this data, but it has license limitations or it requires additional license. So it depends on how many or what kind of license do you have already for your company.
Thank you. Another question is, what if there are no tags assigned on cloud components, cloud infrastructure components?
Well, that's an edge case of application mapping, and I think that if there is no tags assigned to components, it means that you will see nothing on the map. So map built based on the tags. If you have tags, you can see something on the map. If you don't have a tags, you see nothing on the map. So this is how it works.
Okay, good, thank you. And the next question is, what do you suggest if a company does not use ITOM capabilities from ServiceNow, but would like to implement a service map or similar functionality?
In my opinion, if the company don't have ServiceNow, purchasing licenses for ServiceNow should be considered individually. If company has something with the ServiceNow, for instance, ITSM, so it is possible and highly possible that enforcing ITSM with ITOM part would bring much positive outcomes to the company. But if the company don't have any ServiceNow products, it could be expensive for the company. But again, it should be considered individually, because every company has could have discounts. Any company is very unique in their nature of doing operational management or service management, and it depends how many applications they require to enforce service management. So this would be my answer.
Yeah, thank you. I just can comment that from our experience, some companies even start implementation journey of ServiceNow from ITOM and from CMDB, because they understand that either their current CMDB solution does not fulfill their requirements, and then they start to implement CMDB from ServiceNow. Then they move to the service-based organization, and then they start using service maps. So that can be the starting point for the organization. But as you said, I agree. Each case should be considered individually. Well, yeah, that's all. That was all questions from the audience. So I think yeah, we can conclude on that. Thank you very much, Vova, for your answers. Thank you for your presentations. Audience, thank you for your questions and for your time being with us. As we promised, we will share all the materials with you in a couple of days. I think maximum you will receive a link to the presentation and to the recording. But if you get any questions, you can also send it to us, and we'll be happy to contact you and answer the questions. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.